Good morning, friends. Welcome back to a session after a very long time. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are able to see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Yes. Uh, so we'll just try to check into what all things we have so far discussed. So we have discussed the general model of plan change for so many days. That is, it is in major four phases. Hope you remember. It starts with entering and contracting, where the company will think of going for a change and they enter into a contract with a OD practitioner. So after that, there comes diagnosing stage, where jointly the that is the client as well as the OD practitioner will jointly diagnose what is the situation in the organization, what changes can be brought up, where the problems are, or where actually the improvements can be brought in. So that is the second phase. We have discussed so far till the third phase, that is planning and implementation of the change. So today's session is basically the last part of this phase, that is managing change. So here in this planning and implementation of change, we discussed about the interventions. So these interventions, we already know that these are some tools or techniques which can bring changes in the organization. So here, once that change has been implemented in the organization, the process is just not over. So here, what you are supposed to do is you have to manage that change. So whatever shift from the previous position to the new position after the change has happened in the organization. Did you hear me? Hello, are you listening to me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there was some disturbance. Let me share the screen. Okay. Fine. So here, basically, whenever that changes has been brought in the organizations, so that change has to be managed properly. Otherwise, what happens? The company will go back to the old system or the old situations itself. So for that reason, you have to manage that change in the organization. So that is the last part of this third phase of the general model of plan change here. Okay, so today's discussion is about the general model of plan change. So now, see, whenever we already have discussed the process and try to recall what happened, but see, what happens is whenever the organizations are going for change, the first category of people who are badly affected are the employees of the organization. So until and unless you make them understand what kind of benefits they are going to get and what kind of benefits the organization is going to get through this whole change process, they will never think of changing. They always will resist. So if at all, in your own class only, if I bring some change, the first thing is, why ma'am? No ma'am. So that is the question. That is the question you raise up. So the same thing happens in the organization also. So for that reason, you should ensure that, okay, so you should ensure that these people are well aware of what kind of benefits they are going to have. So that is how you can motivate them to change. So these are certain things you have to keep in mind. We'll discuss one by one. That is motivating the change, creating a vision for the members of the organization, developing political support, managing the transition, and sustaining the momentum. Okay, these are the things one by one we will be discussing. Somebody with mic to be muted, please just check.
Sandeep.
Okay. So as I told you, motivating change. See, as I told you, what happens is people, whenever new things come in, people will never accept it very easily, right? So that is why you should ensure that the things go on very smoothly. For that reason, what you are supposed to do is you have to first make them understand why this change is needed. how it is going to help the organization. So that is what is creating readiness to change here. So here, first thing is you have to sensitize them how the organization is facing the pressures of change. Let us say your company belongs to a textile industry, and textile industry means you are purely into handloom industry where there is no electricity or technology or machinery being used up. So for that reason, what you do is uh, other companies in the same industry are already shifted to power loom or new technologies. So in this situation, what happens is the quality of the cloth being manufactured by your organization, it may not be the same. It may not be of the same quality. So the product which is being manufactured by you may not be accepted by the customers. So for that reason, when everybody is uh, changing themselves, when everybody is updating themselves, okay, when everybody is updating themselves, you cannot be behind the race. So you have that pressure of changing your own organization also. So the management should ensure that their employees will understand why actually the organization has to change. So that is first. Second thing, what you are supposed to inform your employees is you have to understand how it is going to help the organization. So where the organization is going to reach. That is what is identifying gaps between the actual and desired states. So most of the time what happens, uh, the management will plan something, and something will be implemented, change will happen. But whether that change is desired, whether it was actually predetermined, whether that was the reason for which changes have been brought or not, so that has to be understood here. So here your employees should be made uh, knowledgeable, or should be made known that the goals are very high. Okay, so because of that goals, you have to give your commitment and 100% cooperation with the management to bring those changes, because most of the organizations, whatever they plan, they never achieve. So for that reason only, you should ensure that the employees understand the importance, and what are the goals which they have to achieve for the organization. Okay, so convey a credible positive expectations of change here. uh, Communication in change is very very important, because until and unless you are clear, you are transparent with your employees, they will never understand why this whole change process is going on. Because like just like banking sector, I always used to give examples. What happens is people are accustomed to the old ledger system. Suddenly when you bring computers, it becomes very difficult for them to change and learn the computers. So for that reason, you should ensure that communication happens, and you try to convey credible positive expectations for the change. Tell them this is what we are going to achieve after change, this is what you are going to be benefited after change. So just not organization, the change has to be beneficial for both the categories, employees as well as the organization. So that is the thing which you have to communicate to them. Then only somewhere people will get ready for change. So I used to discuss in the class also regarding status quo. Okay, so this is a phase where you disturb the status quo of the employees. You make them understand there is no other go, you have to change. So that mindset has to be created um, in the organization, in the employees, in the minds of the employees. So once that readiness for change is like mindset is prepared in the employees, but still people will be resisting the change. So now here are some few strategies which you can use to overcome that resistance to change. So for example, let us say somebody does not want to change in your organization. You just cannot be aggressive with them, you should be supportive to them. You should ensure that don't fear, we are there for you. We will give you all the support. Be empathetic towards them. Be respectful and understand their emotions, understand their expectations, and try to balance the situation there. Because if you go aggressively off, or if you try to start uh, suspending the employees or throwing the employees who are opposing that change, the other people also will start joining them. So the intensity of that resistance will start increasing in the organization. So for that reason, try to handle it in a very smooth manner. So be empathetic towards the employees and support them whenever needed. Because most of the people, they will be always in a dilemma. Okay, I don't know computers. I am at the age of, I have 50 plus. How can I learn computers at this age? So this kind of fear will always be there in the mind. So try to make them understand that we are ready to provide you training. Whatever support you want, we are ready to give you. So such kind of what I can say, support can be given to those employees, so that somewhere the percentage of resistance can be reduced. As I already told you in the above, communication is very, very important. If you are more crystal clear, be transparent with your employees, that is the best thing you can do for cutting down the resistance. Because it should not, the problems during this whole change process should not come in a very unexpected manner in front of the employees. So communicate to them, see, we are going to change, this is how things are going to happen, this is how the process is going to go on, you are going to find these kind of difficulties, for these difficulties we are going to support you. So all this communication has to be done continuously with the employees by conducting meetings. So communication can resolve most of the problems in the organization. Just like in our own life also, we have so many problems. Most of us will not be able to solve those problems for the only single reason: we don't communicate properly. Okay, so in the organizations also the situation is the same. They have a lot of doubts. You can even call them, you can clarify those doubts. So that is how you can try to communicate and try to resist the change in the organization. Whenever changes happen, it is always said, instead of leaving that the person who is opposing that change, involve him in the planning only, involve him in the decision making process only. Let us say, like in the whole organization there is one union leader who is opposing the change. There is a trade union in the organization. He is a very aggressive person and he is always opposing the change. So what happens is, that person, you should always, instead of leaving him outside, he will create problems if you leave him outside. Instead, involve him in the planning and decision making phase itself. So whenever you are planning some interventions, planning some changes, or taking some decisions, involve him. So by doing this, you will start giving importance to him, and he will feel that, okay, I am having an important place in this whole change process. So that feeling, even though he contributes or not contributes, that is secondary, but make him feel important in the whole change process. So by doing this, what happens is, he will slowly stop opposing towards you, or he will stop resisting towards the change. So he will start involving even other members also with him to bring those changes in the organization. So by doing this, you can bring some motivation towards this whole change process in the organization. So this is one thing which you have to understand to manage the change. So whenever first is create readiness for change by trying to make the people.
నీది వినపడుతుందిరా,
I'm
ఆమె
here, I'm
వినపడుతుంది.
మేడం లేదు.
okay.
ఉన్నారు, వచ్చారు.
హలో,
ఓయ్
వచ్చారా.
Fine, there is some network problem. Okay, so by creating that readiness to change and overcoming resistance to change, somewhere you can start managing that whole change process in the organization. So now once you are able to motivate your employees and make them ready to change themselves, you have to give them a vision now. Okay, so I'll just take an example of a industry in Belgium itself. I guess you must have heard about it. It is known as polyhydron. Okay, so this company in Belgium, it was founded. The founder member was a person called as Suresh Mundre. He is no more now. And this person, he created a vision for the organization. And what was that vision and what were the objectives of that organization was to be 100% ethical. That is, not even a single rupee bribe to take and to give. And also, when it comes to quality of the product, there is no compromise. Profits may be less, but we are not going to compromise with our ethics. So this was a kind of a value he had created. Till today also it is being followed in that organization. Okay, so he had created that vision for the organization. And here also, in the whole change process, you have to create that vision for your employees. Okay, so until and unless they don't understand what actually the organization is supposed to achieve in future, they will not be serious about this whole change process. So you have to create that vision in the minds of the employees, but those visions should be based upon the core values of the organization. I gave you an example. Core value of the organization means like ethics. Ethics is a core value. So your vision will be dependent upon the core value. Let us say, like our own college, you take competence, commitment, and teamwork are the three points you can get in the vision statement. So here, commitment is a core value, right? Competent is a core value. So here, your whatever your organization's visions are there, all those things will be dependent upon those core values. So you have to make your employees understand those core values first. Then only they'll be able to understand the vision of the organization. So what are those core values? Try to inform your members why they are important. What is the reason you are stressing more upon those core values? Keep them informed. So that is one. And second thing is the core purpose or the reason for existence of the organization. Many organizations are there who say that no, we are existing because we want to create employment, we are existing because we want to make money, we are existing because we want to be a part of economic development of the country, we want to contribute towards the economic development of the country. So many purposes they say, but ultimately what is the purpose, what are the core purposes of the organization? So I'll give an example of one company. The core purpose of that company is for sustainable development. That a company's name is Knowledge Integration Services, KIS. Okay, this company is a company which is into giving suggestions or giving solutions for other big companies, especially manufacturing units, to cut down their pollution levels. See, like some companies are there who have effluents, who have carbon dioxide being put up in the air, in the atmosphere, or there are some companies who have waste generation, right? So this KIS group, what it will do is it will give the companies solutions, okay, by helping them to manage their waste and the effluents. So something like wastewater treatment plan or something like that. So the main purpose of this company is what? Sustainable development. So whatever they are working, their whole activities will be concentrating upon that purpose only. So here you should make your employees understand that core purpose. What is the reason for which you are there? Okay, so that has to be made, that has to be understood by the employees of the organization. So when they're clear with the values, when they're clear with the purpose, and when they understand the vision clearly, then only they will be like supporting you in your change activities. Okay, so then after making your employees understand the values and purpose of the organization, construct the envisioned future. So what is this envisioned future? So it is a kind of a vision you create wherein you know what is the kind of outcome you are going to get. Okay, so see what happens is if we are going on the road, We know there is a pit and we know we are going to fall. Will you fall there? No, we are not going to fall in that. The reason why? Because we know we are going to get hurt there. So here in the same way, vision has to be created by keeping the outcomes in mind. So such kind of a future has to be created or constructed here. So those outcomes have to be well in advance planned, and keeping those outcomes, the whole vision has to be designed. That is why it is called as an envisioned future. Future, what is going to happen? So let us say we are in the situation of COVID-19. Do we know what is the future? We don't know. Okay. Envisioned future is something where outcome will be known properly. What is going to happen after 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? We should know that. So try to construct such kind of an envisioned future for your whole change process. That means if I implement this change, after 1 year of implementation, these are the benefits I'm going to get. These are the outcomes I'm going to get. So those outcomes have to be uh, decided before going ahead with the whole change process. So that is what is constructing the envisioned future here. Then, in the whole due course of managing this whole change process, political support is very, very important, because in companies also, just like in our life, in our environment, we have this political system. In the companies also, there will be political system. So if you don't get that support in the organization from few important people, the change process is utter failure. So here we discussed how to motivate change. We discussed creating a vision. Now we will try to understand what is this political support and how you can use that political support effectively to bring the change. I'll just give an example to understand this whole concept. In an organization, there is a trade union, and that trade union is having a leader. This leader is so strong that he can influence the members of the organization very easily. Okay, so if he is not happy with the change process, he will never allow the change process to happen in the organization. Okay, so keep this in mind. He will never allow the change to happen in the organization. So for that reason, you should handle such a kind of political powers. Okay, so that is one side. Second side is change agent power. Okay, one side of political power comes from the influential members in the organization. Second category of power.
చిల్లర కావాలంటే
Okay. Second category comes from the OD practitioner himself, and we all know who is an OD practitioner. He is the one who brings changes in the organization. He may be from internal, he may be from external also. So internal means like HR manager can play a role of a change, OD practitioner. So he can be called as a change agent. So this change agent, he is also having some power. Power in the sense how? What happens is some people are there, just by looking at them, just by the way they speak, just by the way they behave, their body language itself, you get attracted and you start following them. So that is a kind of a charisma you can find in those kind of people. So change agents can have that charisma, or else they are highly intellectual, that is very knowledgeable and expertise in their own area, and people can get influenced by him or her very nicely. Or else he has a strong support from the management and the members of the organization. There also power comes into picture. So keep in mind, guys, here power has to be handled, and that power may come from two things. One is the highly influential person in the organization, he may have that political power, and second thing is your change agent, that is the OD practitioner power. So here what happens, if you don't handle this power correctly, okay, if you don't handle this power correctly, you may find difficulties in implementing that change. Okay, so for that reason there are certain strategies here. This is the strategies. whenever these are the three on the left side of the screen, you can see individual sources of power. So if the person is highly knowledgeable, you cannot just go with indirect strategies to convince him. You have to be straight with him. So what are the strategies you can use? You have to be very straight. You cannot do drama there. You cannot try to convince somebody there. You have to be very straight because you are highly expertise in your own area, and you just have to use that expertise and knowledge to impress people. And that is do it very straight. Make them understand what has changed, why it is happening, for what reason it is happening, why, how it is going to benefit. Make it very straight. People will understand that, oh man, this is a very intellectual person, this is a highly expertise person, we have to listen to them because he is telling something correct. Let us say if that change agent or the OD practitioner is not so expert, he has to get support from others. That is, he can get support from what I can say, management or the employees of the organization, or even a trade union leader also. So here, if you want to send some message to the employees, you can use such kind of people like a trade union leader. You can influence him and you can tell him, see, from tomorrow onwards, we are going to do this. Please inform your employees and convince them to bring the change process smoothly. So use social networks. Okay. So whenever you're not so expert as a OD practitioner, try to use social networks to influence people. And the third source of power is your own personality. If you're charismatic, suddenly if some person talks to you and if some person just sees you, the kind of confidence in your body language, the kind of confidence in your communication skills, people will be like impressed. In this situation, you just don't need to beat around the bush. You just have to go with a formal system. Don't convince them. Don't try to be sympathetic. Don't try to too much beg them to change or something like that. Just go with a formal system because people themselves will start following you. You don't need to go back to them and request them to change themselves. So as I told you, if the person is highly knowledgeable, be straight. If, for example, OD practitioner I'm talking about, if he is not so expert, but he has a very strong support from others in the organization, use the social networks, use that support, trying to influence people and change them. And if your personality itself is highly charismatic, you can just go with a simple formal system to bring those changes in the organization. Okay. Then, so to bring these changes, you have to understand those key stakeholders. Stakeholders means it is just not shareholders. Here in the organization development and change subject, stakeholders means our employees and management. If you are not able to identify the key means not all, major important people who can influence the other members in the organization. So those people you have to catch hold. If you are able to catch hold of them, your work can be done very easily in the organization. So if I want to get the work done in your own class, there are few people who I can catch hold of and I can really influence the whole class itself. So that is how you have to identify those key stakeholders. Then
ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿ
ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಸಾಕೇನ ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಮಾತಾಡಕ?
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ಮಾವಿನಕಾಯಿ ಪಿಕ್ಕಲ್ ಇಡತ್ತಿ ಮನೆ.
ನಂಗೂ
ತಪ್ಪು, ನನ್ಗೇನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay, fine. So there, I don't know what is the network, bro. ಎರಡು ಗಂಟೆ ಅದಾವಪ್ಪ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ? Okay. So once you identify those key stakeholders, try to influence them because they are the one who can help you to bring the change process very nicely and easily. Okay. So those important influential people in the organization, if you take help from them, your half of the job is done in the change process. So develop that political support by understanding your power, that is OD practitioner's power. Identify the key stakeholders, then influence those stakeholders. Your half of the job is done through in the whole change process. So once you get that political, you are able to develop that political support in the organization, then manage the whole transition. Transition means here shifting from current state to the desired state. That is what is the transition. So when an organization is working from shifting to from current state and reach the desired state, that whole process, that time period or that whole phase, it is called as a transition phase. So here, try to manage this transition. So how you will do this? Very importantly, whenever changes are happening, create a roadmap for the change. Activities, what all things are needed, what all support is needed, what all what all techniques you have to use, what all training programs you have to use, when you have to use them. Try to create that roadmap for the whole change process. So activity planning, very very important. So what are these activities? Activities are those which help here to bring the change process smoothly. So plan the whole activities. Then try to create that commitment in the employees. Whose support is needed, where do they stand, and how to influence their behavior. So these things you have to keep in mind to manage the whole transition in the organization. So because without anybody's support, or without the employee support, or the trade union leader support, or the management support, or the departmental heads support, you cannot bring changes. So everybody has to be committed in this whole process. Get their commitment, influence them, try to win their confidence. So this is what is commitment planning. Then bring changes in the changes in the organization structure temporarily. Uh, if you have observed the video in the previous video which I had uploaded, I had talked about something called as parallel structure. I'll just discuss it one more time. Parallel structure is something which is a very small structure which consists of very few people of various departments. And who are these people of this parallel structure? They are experts, they are highly knowledgeable in their own areas. And such kind of people are picked up from the organization from various departments, and a small structure is created. So that why it is called parallel structure, because original organization structure will be running. Okay. Parallelly, this small structure will also be functioning, wherein there will be head, there will be subordinates in that whole structure also. Okay. So these 8 to 10 or 12 people, what they will do is they will bring the change in the organization. Okay. So these are the people who will be responsible to drive the whole change process in the organization. So they will sit, they will discuss, they will conduct the meeting, they will decide what kind of changes can be brought, they will go back and implement those changes in the department. So such kind of structures are called as parallel structure. So whenever needed in this whole process, if you really feel the need, try to create those change management small structures. By doing so, you will be able to bring the change smoothly. Okay. So that is why try to create those small structures wherever necessary with the appropriate combination of people, and make them drive the whole change process. Guys, keep in mind, organization, until and unless it is learning, it is not going to flourish in the market. You have to be continuously updated. You have to continuously change. You have to continuously learn what is happening around you. If you are not continuously doing that, uh, there is a day when the organization is going to see its end. So even in our life also, learning process has to be always continuous. It is not like MBA is done, learning is finished. No. So till the last breath of our life, one or the other things we are going to learn. We may learn life skills, we may take education, we may learn some subjects, we may learn marketing skills, but somewhere the things will be going on continuously. Here also in organizations, you need to inculcate that learning nature in the employees. Okay. So to bring that learning nature, what kind of processes you have to implement, what kind of activities you have to do, or what kind of techniques you have to use. So what knowledge and skills does the organization need so that they can support the new behaviors? So they should always, the employee should always be learning new things, new knowledges, new skills. So then only that whole change process can be uh, uh, completed, or I can say successfully completed in the organization. So that whole process, you cannot say that, okay, I don't want to learn computers, I don't want to learn this new machinery or new technology. You cannot say that. The change process goes with the support of learning. So that is managing the transition in the organization. The last part here is the sustaining of momentum. So the previous part we understood. Here you can see from current state to the desired state. Okay, desired future state. That change has happened. Now, whatever changes have happened, if you just leave it like that, it will come back to the old system. You have to sustain that momentum. You have to ensure that your employees are continuously participating in the change process. Your employees are continuously accepting the new things. Um, I'll take this example of a case study which I had read long back of SBI itself when it went for computerization. What they did is to sustain the momentum of change what they had brought, morning till evening, that is around 4 o'clock, they used to work on ledgers. After 4 o'clock till 7:30 or 8 o'clock, they used to sit and update on the computers for few days. After those few months, they left that old ledger system and they started working on computers. So every day you start practicing on computers, there is a day which is going to come where you start learning to use computers very nicely. So here sustaining momentum is, you have to, it should be a like a habit for them. That change should become like a habit for them. So if, for example, I'll give a very simple example. Today you learn a new word. If you understand its meaning, you understand how to use it in a sentence. 2 days you don't use that word. The third day you'll forget that word. Yes or no? So for that reason, you are supposed to use it. You have to make it as a habit. So to make it as a habit, to sustain that change, that momentum in the organization, continuously the management has to provide resources for the change. So what are these resources? Resources can be training, resources can be technologies, resources can be infrastructure, resources can be mental support, resources can be physical support. So such kind of facilities have to be provided to the members of the organization so that they can go on with that change process continuously. So try to build a support system for the change agents. Your change agents, that is the OD practitioners, without that support from the organization, they can never bring the change successfully in the organization. So it is the responsibility of the management to bring the mental, that is mental and physical support to your OD practitioners. Give them the support, because there may be a situation where your OD practitioner may break down. He may feel that, okay, it is so difficult to bring change, I have to quit. So such kind of situations have to be handled by giving him or her a mental support. So try to build that mental support for your OD practitioners. Build, develop new competencies and skills through training, continuous training programs, trying to communicate to your employees, try to build those new competencies and skills for your employees. So when they start learning new things, they start cultivating those new skills, no, automatically they will accept the new changes and then reinforce the new behaviors. So that they will automatically do if they have habituated for the new skills and competencies. And stay the course, that is maintain that momentum, or ensure that the company does not go back from the new system to the old system. So this thing, if you are able to do it in the organization, you will be able to manage the change very, very smoothly. Okay, friends. So this is the session for today. So we will be again meeting